Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Tales of the Teen Titans Annual. This is the finale to the Judas contract, and this will be essentially my last video on this subject for a while, unless people want me to revisit it. Anyhow, we got a pretty cool cover right here, kind of foreshadowing what's going on. This, you know what's funny, is when I first saw this cover, I didn't think it was that great. But the more I look at it, it actually probably is more serviceable than the other covers. Just because of how different it is, and because it didn't use the same sort of paneling motif that the other covers did. Anyhow, we're gonna jump right into this. We go to HIVE headquarters where they're all fat, dumb, and happy as they have captured the Teen Titans. Look at this great double-page spread. This is classic George Perez here. Again, this issue is co-written and co-created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, also co-edited by these two guys. I don't know how that works out. George Perez is basically the artist. You have a combination team of DiCarlo and Giordano as the inkers, and Adrienne Roy doing the colors. She always did most of the colors for the Titans in these this early run right here. So you got this big double-page spread as all the Titans are kind of waking up, realizing, uh-oh, we're in trouble. Here's Deathstroke basically talking mad shit as they've been caught, and here you also wonder if you're wondering about Raven. She's been put under gas, and this is where it's finally revealed to the Titans, and not really to the reader. The reader's kind of known this probably 15 issues ago, that Tara Markov is the traitor of them all. And here George Perez does a really good job making her look particularly sinister and evil, despite being a buck-toothed little midget. I like how he gives her the cigarette to smoke and everything. The previous issues where Perez had her smoking really kind of sold it to her that she's very much a bad soul. Not that smoking necessarily is a sign of evil, but when you have someone like this who kind of gets presented in such a different way, and you see that twist of the character, it's kind of unique here. Anyway, yeah, this obviously becomes a shock for Logan, who has just been absolutely destroyed as she basically taunts him, knowing that these guys are going to die. Outside of this, the HIVE headquarters in the Rocky Mountains, you've got Nightwing now, not Robin, Nightwing, and Jericho, who was introduced in the previous issue, as they're going to go bust into the factory here. You get Nightwing showcasing his martial arts. Basically, he's Robin in a new costume. Also some new gadgets, too, so pretty cool. He's got like a new grappling hook thingamabobber, kind of like a spear in this way. They're able to climb up and break into the place. And then you also get some foreshadowing here as they kind of talk to Deathstroke and like, hey, your contract isn't complete because you haven't caught Robin. And he's like, I'll get him. And you have Tara kind of making fun of him like, I'll take care of him. You can't take care of him. And then he goes back to call Wintergreen as he's left Wintergreen to go find Robin. And Wintergreen says, oh, I haven't found him yet, but I'll talk to you later, sir. Obviously something's wrong here, and we find out what's wrong. He's basically being held hostage by Slade Wilson's ex-wife. And here you get kind of an explanation of Wintergreen and Slade's relationship, as the way it is written here, it's explained that they're two war buddies and whatnot, but there's like sort of I don't know if I'm reading too deeply into it, but there is a rather weird connotation between Wintergreen and Slade's relationship in these comics. And, I'm not really sure if it's necessarily like romantic or something like that. But it is kind of weird the way Marv Wolfman writes these characters together. But anyway, he kind of explains the birth of Deathstroke here, rescuing him from the Viet Cong. And the beginning of the legend right here before he lost his eye to his wife. And his wife has the line right here that is pretty much the killer. I don't think I ever loved him as much as you do. Back at the HIVE headquarters, You can see, I'm almost having a hard time saying Robin here, but Nightwing and Jericho as they get to work here infiltrating. You see Jericho's powers in action here. He kind of like, I kind of forgot that his power is different than Karma's, in that Karma takes over somebody, but her body is still where it's at. But Jericho's power, he dives into their body, so he technically disappears when he takes over somebody's body. Anyway, they knock out 2 goons, take their costumes, are able to infiltrate. And while they're in the middle of this, Jericho lets Robin know that, hey, this guy's about ready to regain control. So Nightwing basically decides, forget it. We're gonna have to go in and we're gonna have to do it live, aren't we? So they get into a brawl, and they end up having to run away because they're outnumbered. And they turn a corner, run into Tara, and just get wrecked. Here again, you have Tara with the buck teeth and the cigarette right here. And she knocks him out while also kind of commenting on how cute Jericho is. And you get some more inner monologuing by Deathstroke, who's starting to wonder if he's fucking up really bad here. And the spoiler alert, he is. We get to this scene where they tell Deathstroke that essentially, hey, your contract has been completed for you. This chick did it. We captured Robin / Nightwing. Also got an extra bonus by capturing this kid too. And at this point, this is where Slade is like, oh shit, and he screws up. He realizes this is his son, and then he demands his son to be released. And this is when also Tara realizes this is his son, and then she breaks right here. This entire time, the way Wolfman is reading it, basically him, Deathstroke, and Tara Markov, Tara, have been basically having these sexes during this entire time, and she kind of, to a degree, thinks that Slade is into her, and that she's kind of special. In reality, Slade is just manipulating her for his own ends to get revenge on the Titans. So when she sees him have a soft spot for his son, it kind of breaks her, and she becomes jealous, and she starts to realize that this guy is not he's not really that faithful to her. And while he's looking at his son wakes up, and that's when his powers activate. He's able to take over Slade Wilson and free the Titans. And here you have that classic George Perez. George Perez, he had these kind of basically single point perspective, and here comes one character here, one character here. I think he does this so many times with Starfire coming up from the top. Then you have a freaking Changeling, Beast Boy coming from down south here. And for the rest of the issue, it's basically an all-out brawl as the Titans are able to free themselves and fight off all the Hive members. Tara turns on Slade Wilson because she doesn't realize that Slade is being taken over by Jericho, and they all end up in a big fat brawl. A lot of like yelling and emotions and other stuff. The thing about this issue that always kind of bugged me is there's a lot of words going on here, but this is all just one long fight, and a lot of it is just repeated stuff that is something that the reader already knows. If I have to criticize the Judas contract, the last 5 pages or so are almost like an exercise in reminding yourself, yeah, she hates everybody, yeah, she betrayed them, yeah, it was all an act. And after a while, it's almost like George was like drawing panels for Marv, but Marv really didn't know what to put there. It's kind of interesting. In a way, you could kind of see some of the weaknesses of them not being edited during this book, at least in my opinion. I think if this was a Marvel book, I think Shooter would have made them go back to the drawing board and fill in a little bit more about what's going on, rather than repeating stuff that the reader already knows. But yeah, no, she ends up almost taking out all the Titans before Beast Boy is able to hit her in the eye. and basically blind her and infuriate her, she loses control of her powers and ends up killing herself. It's very, very, I would say, anticlimactic in a way. I didn't really like the decision to kill her off or have her kill herself with her own power. I think is really, really interesting and kind of poetic. But the way Wolfman and Perez do it here at the end is just, I don't know, it feels kind of, I don't know what the right word, it almost feels kind of cheap in a way. It doesn't feel as satisfying as the endings for a lot of other stories, even within the Teen Titans universe. So in a way, it's kind of interesting. When I read this story for the first time, I understood why it was so iconic, especially for DC and especially for the Teen Titans. But in a way, you could say that the real hallmark of this run, this story, is really the birth of Nightwing, the creation of Jericho, and the whole subplot between Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, boinking a 16-year-old girl and manipulating her to try to kill the Titans. I think that's far more interesting, than this Terra character in and of herself. In fact, in a way, you could say that Terra is almost like a vehicle to explore more of Deathstroke and the Titans than it is to be sort of a great character in and of herself. Even this whole lines right here by Wolfman were like, well, she just hates because she hates, and that's how she hates. Well, I get it. This is a common aspect of DC Comics, right? The idea of true evil, right? Real evil, or pure evil in a way, right? But it doesn't feel as complete or rewarding as other stories within this run or in the rival X-Men over at Marvel, right? But no, and that's the end of it. Yeah, they're really the best panel here is this one, this vertical panel by George Perez right here, where you have Wonder Girl here talking to Nightwing. We found Terra's body. There's Gar right here, just crawling over a corpse. This is great right here. And then these simple background panels right here showcasing. I like how this is like mourning, and then this is the funeral right here in the procession. The Titans don't have the nerve to tell her brothers that yeah, she was es muy loco. And then you have the foreshadowing here with Jericho and his mom, and here lies Terra. And that's pretty much it. Very monumental series and ending to a great storyline here from the 80s. Probably the best individual line story, in this case, a story within a run for DC from the 80s. I would say if you wanted to do the crossovers like Crisis on Infinite Earths, you could say that is more of like overall DC, right? And then I guess you could argue a lot of the Frank Miller stuff later, though. Honestly, I think the best Frank Miller story is Batman Year One, at least for Batman purposes. Personally, I like his Daredevil more than his Batman. I think Born Again is the best Frank Miller story I've ever read. And I probably would put Death of Elektra and a few others ahead of his Batman stories. But again, nothing against the Batman stories. I'm not as big of a Batman fan as I am a Daredevil fan. But anyhow, yeah, man, this has been a lot of fun. I think I will be taking a break from the Titans for a while. Mainly because the run after this kind of winds down. And Perez gets put on other stuff. Wolfman goes and does some other stuff as well. And for the most part, this series, I wouldn't say gets bad. It just doesn't have the same impact as it had when it first came out. And around this time is also when Batman started getting very, very good again. And that became the hallmark of DC riding into the 90s and beyond, right? Anyhow, yeah, so real quick, for those of you guys who've been watching all these videos and curious about what's coming up next, so now that we've done a big DC run, it's time for a little bit of other stuff. So next review will be Ghost in the Shell. This is the deluxe edition. Got a lot more colored pages, so this will be fun to go over. And then after that, I think I told a lot of you guys we'll be doing Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. And for those of you guys who are waiting for a European comic, we'll be returning to Blueberry and Blueberry 3, Angel Face. I'm actually probably going to go cover the second book, which is Broken Nose, which is the second part of this collection from Epic Comics. Anyhow, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments on the new Teen Titans, the Judas contract, part 4, leave it down below, and I will see you next time.